this working is that there would have to be a separate line item appropriation for the voucher program. You'll note that there is a provision in the bill. It's in section 50, that indicates, if funding is not satisfactory to, renew all vouchers, then you prorate accordingly. So that's, you're going to have a line item, essentially. The way that, and obviously a line item is going to be controlled by what the General Assembly puts into it. If you choose to put $5 million into it, or if you choose to put $50 million into it, it would be controlled by that factor. What would have to happen is when a student leaves the public school system, whether there's a voucher program or not, if they're just choosing to go to private school or perhaps they're leaving a district, that's going to go to another district, that's going to affect the school district's average daily attendance. Average daily attendance is one of the factors in a wide variety of factors that goes into determining how much school districts.
It's not a $1,600 factor.
What is going on in Chicago Public Schools this year is the foundation level is $6,119. As you are aware, the foundation formula is supposed to be an equalizing formula, and so we're supposed to look at what kind of local resources a school district has available compared to what the foundation level is. Chicago has a high EAV. In FY11, their preliminary data shows they have $80 billion worth of EAV. So this year, the data that we're using, they have $73 billion worth of EAV, and that's not the number that we use because they're actually a PTEL district, so we use a lower number. What happens is we figure out how much of ALR, available local resources, you have per student. This year, the amount is about $4,500 or so.
So that's what they're getting off their tax rate.
I'm sorry?
That's what comes in off of their tax rate.
Exactly. So what they're receiving on the foundation side of general state aid is about $1,600 this year based on all the numbers. Next year, based on preliminary data, if the foundation level stayed steady at $6,119, that'll be about $1,375. There's a second portion of general state aid that comes into play, and Representative Joyce alluded to that a moment ago, or mentioned that a moment ago. It's the poverty portion. All of our school districts receive poverty money. Chicago has a high percentile of poverty students. There's a whole mathematical formulation for how this works, but basically we receive the number of students that are receiving services as of a certain date, their families that are receiving services as of a certain date, and DHS populates a poverty count. They have poverty numbers for all over the states, and ultimately it's determined that there is X percentage or X number of students in certain districts that are poverty students based on this criteria. As I said, for FY10, that number I believe is 85%. It might be around 81%. I apologize. Based on that, there's a whole portion of the general state aid formula that's poverty. So while it's one number that CPS is receiving or Springfield's receiving or whoever is receiving, their general state aid is made up of these two parts.
So the money to pay for this isn't coming from CPS. This money is going to come from a line item in the general fund.